I'm really, I'm really bored of all this climate change shit. Um, it's like the ice bucket challenge all over again, isn't it? I swear to God. In about 6 months, no one's gonna give a fuck. I swear. Um, it just seems to be. I mean, just looking at this, ending climate change requires the end of capitalism. Have we got the stomach for it? It just seems like this is just yet another ploy, another political ploy to sell an idea and to destroy another idea using whichever means possible. It's kind of what it feels like at the moment. I'm not sure how many people really understand climate change or care. I think like the political point scoring and it just seems to be more important. I don't know. I just got that feeling about the whole thing, just mainly because of the people that are really pushing it. There's nothing quite as terrifying and crucial, I suppose, as the existential threat of the end of our existence. So when you're proposing political ideology that will save mankind from extinction, that's quite a powerful little tool to have. Now, is capitalism responsible for a lot of destruction and things to do with climate change? Yeah, but we grow and we learn. We know what's bad and what's not bad. But capitalism is enabling people to develop better ways because capitalism hasn't been around for as long as humankind has not been around for that long, and before it life was pretty poo. I think it's just because no one was alive when that happened. They don't realise. And what you think without capitalism there wouldn't be all this shit going on anyway? Of course it would. Fuel. It's fuel. People want fuel. Fuel. It's all about fuel. There'll still be fuel. They still want things to be fueled. Would it be as rampant? Probably not. But there's a continuation, it's like you discover we do this for a long time and go, oh yeah, that's working, and then you discover going, oh, this is actually quite bad. Right, well, let's find a better alternative. And we always do. We'll always find, we've got plenty of other options. It's just implementing them and cutting out all the political bullshit. Because, do you think the United Arab Emirates, all the wealth is generated just through, geographical convenience and their oil? Do you think they want to cut carbon emissions? Venezuela? Nigeria? Think China wants to stop its factories? I don't know. As I said before, the coal miners wouldn't give a fuck about climate change if they could have their coal mines back in the day, couldn't they? Anyway, I don't know who Phil McDuff is, but he probably is more duff than he is muck. Policy tweaks won't do it. We need to throw the kitchen sink at this with a total rethink of our relationship to ownership, work and capital. Here we go. Climate change activism is increasingly the domain of the young, such as 16-year-old Greta Thunberg. Can we just stop being silly and just say Greta Thunberg is just a privileged little girl who just talks? It's probably a mum that wrote it or something. Like there's a very bad trend these days to just put give kids so much gravitas, like the Parkland shooting kids and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's like we need to listen to the children because nothing, because children know so much. They do know so much. I don't know why they aren't in Parliament. I don't know. I don't know why they aren't CEOs. The unlikely face of the school strike for climate movement, cringe, which has seen many thousands of children walk out of school to demand that their parents' generation take responsibility for leaving them a planet to live on. I'm sorry, but that's just the shittest thing. They'll be like, shut up! Shut up! That's what I said. Fuck off. Alright? Oh, you like living in this house? Alright, well, shut up. In comparison, the existing political establishment looks more and more like an impediment to change. The consequences of global warming have moved from merely theoretical and predicted to observable reality over the past few years. Examples, please. But this has not been matched by an uptick in urgency. The need to keep the wheels of capitalism well oiled take precedence, even against the backdrop of fires, floods, and hurricanes. Do we know that hurricanes? I don't know. Floods. Is there more floods? Are there more floods? Are there more hurricanes? Are there more fires? I don't know. Tell me. Please tell me if there are. I'd like a graph, please. A graph. Capitalism isn't all about like wood and coal and oil. Capitalism is about many things. Voila, this, and like, can we just chill out? Today's children, as they become more politically aware, which is just depressing as far as I'm concerned, will be much more radical than their parents. Oh, good. Good. It's nothing like a screeching little shit talking out their ass about politics, simply because there will be no other choice for them. This emergent radicalism is already taking people by surprise. The Green New Deal, a term presently most associated with 25-year-old US Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is just a fucking bonehead. Women don't even understand economics. Like, why do people love her so much? I can understand why people love Trump. Like, if you're talking about people on two different sides who are just fucking loons, who just say just the most ridiculous things. People love Trump because, like, he goes against the grain and he just says crazy shit, and it's sometimes funny, and it's like, what the fuck? You're like, what? This guy. And the fact that he winds people up. She winds people up, which is great, but she's a fucking bonehead. Like, she's the definition. She's a fucking bozo. Like, she really is. Like, I can't believe that whole Amazon thing. She didn't understand about tax, and like, it's taxed. It's income generated tax. Like, Amazon produce a profit and therefore you get the tax. If they're not there, then that tax doesn't exist, and she just didn't seem to grasp that fact. There's a great meme about, there's so many great memes about her, but like, best one is just a mock-up of the Straight Outta Compton album cover, and it's got her in sort of pose, and it just says straight out of brain cells. Simple and effective. Unlike her, who's simple but not effective. Has provoked a wildly unhinged backlash from the pro-free market wing, who argue that it's a Trojan horse, nothing more than an attempt to piggyback Marxism onto the back of climate legislation. From what I know about the Green New Deal is that it is just a bucket of nonsense. They were actually saying there were things in there that the Republicans had made up, but it was actually there. It's so strange. Smoke and mirrors time, baby. The criticism feels ridiculous, partly because the GND is far from truly radical and already represents a compromise solution, but mainly because the radical economics isn't a hidden clause, but a headline feature. Climate change is a result of our current economic industrial system. GND-style proposals marry sweeping environmental policy changes with broader socialist reforms because the level of disruption requires to keep us at the temperature anywhere below absolutely catastrophic is fundamentally, on a deep structural level, incompatible with the status quo. Again, there's a very long sentence that just says fuck all. It's just words. It's just a splurge of shit. Why don't you go with straightforward language? Why don't you say, like, just break it down into simple language so everyone can understand it, instead of just this gargle of cack. Because the level of disruption required to keep us at the temperature anywhere below absolutely catastrophic is fundamentally, on a deep structural level, incompatible with the status quo. Right. What does that even mean, really? You want to break it down? You want to break down? Do you want to... See, this is what I get with people, using too much language to explain something. It just shows a lack of intelligence and a lack of, it's like, direct language is good, right? Because everyone gets it, and it doesn't waste our time having to read too much crap. Do you know what I mean? This isn't a novel. You're not trying to paint, and it's not even, and it's not funny. If you're using lots of words and it's funny, I'll be alright. But this is just, shut up, God, you annoy me. Failing to put that effort in sees the world crossing more on this. Move it down a bit. SARS. Right now, we can, with a massive investment of effort by 2030, just about keep the warming level below 1.5 centigrade. This is bad but manageable territory. Failing to put that effort in sees the world crossing more severe temperature barriers that would lead to outcomes like ecosystem collapse, ocean acidification, mass desertification, and coastal cities being flooded into inhabitability. We will simply have to throw the kitchen sink at this. Policy tweaks such as the carbon tax won't do it. Probably right, yeah. We need to fundamentally reevaluate our relationship to ownership, work, and capital. Oh, here we go. You see, no longer is it a concern about the existential threat of climate change, but now, no, we're going to use this to peddle old silly ideas. That's good. The impact of a dramatic reconfiguration of the industrial economy requires similarly large changes to the welfare state. Base incomes, large-scale public work programs. Everything has to be on the table to ensure that the oncoming system shocks do not leave vast swaths of the global population starving and destitute. Right. Perhaps even more fundamentally, we cannot continue to treat the welfare system as a tool for disciplining the supposedly idle underclass. Our system must be reformed with a more humane view of worklessness, poverty, and migration than we have now. Basically, what you want is enslavement. You want people to be enslaved. That's what it is. I've been on benefits many times. It's fucking slavery. That's all it is. It's slavery of the mind. You just have to suck the government's dick to fucking eat. Fuck that shit. I ain't sucking the government's dick to eat. No more. I was a fool. There are some people who generally do need help, but there's a hell of a lot of people who would help themselves if they weren't being helped. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's fucking slavery. Simple as. It's slavery. It's enslavement. It's not good. It's not good. It's packaged up as something great and good, but it's not. It's really damaging to people. It's really bad. It's bad, man. It's bad. I can speak that from fucking experience. It is bad. You are bad. Bad. Unfortunately for our children, the people they have to convince of all this are the people who have done very well at the system and are powerfully incentivized to deny that is all that bad. Already, Joke, is this a name? Joke Schlauwelig, a Belgian environmental minister, has been forced to resign after falsely claiming that she had been told by Belgian state security services that the ghosts behind the scenes were behind demonstrations in Belgium. Ooh, the ghosts behind the scenes. This conspiracism of the elite, these claims that... Now, hold on, bro. You are part of the elite. Because you're writing for The Guardian. You are part of the elite, okay? Let's not fucking beat around the bush. The conspiracism of the elite. The conspiracism of fucking most people. Peddling conspiracism. What are you talking about? Conspiracism of the elite. There's a conspiracy against the elite as well. What are you talking about? These claims that genuine mass movements can't possibly really exist and must be in some way being guided by agent provocateurs is just one of the ways in which those currently running things have resorted to a kind of political gaslighting in an attempt to maintain their grip on power. Well, you know, hell, a lot of people are spouting conspiracy about outside forces manipulating all kinds of stuff on both sides. Well, the whole fucking Russiagate thing's been about. The conspiratorial nature, conspiracism of the elite. What are you talking about? They can't possibly, people like you think that Brexit couldn't have happened without meddling and some sort of conspiracy to manipulate people's minds. Isn't that a thing that you've been pushing? So what the fuck are you talking about? You know, one side says this, one side says the other. It's like, hello, you're all talking conspiracy nonsense half the fucking time. What are you talking about? That's astonishing. You'd have the gall to say that. Political gaslighting. And it's like, and there are, you know, if you look at it, like, if it was the other way around, you'd say that. You would say that, and you know you would. And look what goes on in Russia. Putin funds all kinds of different groups. Like, people like you don't think Brexit happened because of the will of the people. You think it's because Russia? So please, spare me. Gaslighting is a term I don't use lightly because it describes a genuine form of emotional abuse, where an abuser will deny reality in an attempt to get their victim to literally doubt their own sanity, and this should not be diluted by overuse. Yet I struggle to think of another word that adequately sums up the way in which sensible adults are doubling down on their tactic of manufacturing a political reality which bears no relationship to the world we see around us. It's Marxism of Groucho rather than Karl. Who are you going to believe? The serious political professionals or your own lying eyes? US Senator Dianne Feinstein's meeting with school children petitioning her to take action over the issue went viral because of the way she condescended to them, for basically asking her to leave them a planet behind to live on. What if you... Because they're fucking children. Leave us a planet to live on. I'm not put a fucking panda to children. You mad? You want politicians to pan... Mate, panda to kids? You nuts. Do you know where that leads? Chaos. I've been doing this for 30 years, she said. I know what I'm doing. I mean, admittedly, she probably doesn't, but neither do the kids. So fuck them all. All of them can fuck off. Fuck them. Seriously, you can fuck off. I can't be able to read the next. This is a tough and bitter pill to swallow for the political professionals whose feet are firmly under the table. It is increasingly obvious that all their tactics have done almost nothing except run down the clock, but still they insist that it's the young who just don't get it and that things aren't that simple. Well, yes! They're the living embodiment of the famous New Yorker cartoon, with a suited man sat in a post-apocalyptic landscape telling his young audience, yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for shareholders. Damn fucking right, baby. This is reality versus the vested interests of the powerful. Any meaningful policy has to upset the established power base and political donor class. Any policy that doesn't upset these people will be useless. To pretend that we can compromise our way through this while we wait for a magical technological bullet that will keep temperatures down without costing us anything is beyond willful ignorance now. It is a question of basic morality. Now, who's talking like a conspiratorial nutter now? Oh, you know, the established power base and the political donor class. Yep. Evidence. Talk about other people talking about conspiracy. Come on, man. What was he? Many of today's climate strikers won't even be 30 by the time the 1.5 degrees Celsius deadline comes around in 2030. They're asking us to consider a simple question: is their future worth more than preserving our reputations? What will our response to them be? Okay, so I didn't see any ideas there. I didn't see any suggestions of what. Just a lot of talk. Again, just a lot of talk. That's all I see today. Just talk. Weird, conspiracy, classism, the elites. What they're supposed to be doing? Where are all these examples of, what exactly is capitalism doing? Where are the examples of these donors, these political donors and these elitists, not wanting to shake up the status quo? Where is the evidence to support that we should listen to little snotty kids? Nothing. There's just so much talk there. I didn't even know what I was reading half the time. I was like, blah, 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 blah. And Phil McDuff, if he saw this, he'd probably be like, look at you insolent little idiot. But you know what? If I was going to write something, I'd have a point to it. Okay? There'd be a point. I'd be trying to make a point, and I'd get to that point, and I'd break it down so people can understand. This is, again, another article I've read where it's just like just so much talk. And I haven't seen anything that's fully said this is why we should get rid of capitalism to save because of climate change. No real examples, no citations, no research, no graphs. We like graphs. Nothing. Just their tactics have done almost nothing except run down the clock, but still they insist that it's the young who just don't get it. What are the tactics? What tactics? What? People will read this and just go, yeah. Oh yeah. Right. And yet they will know nothing. Basically nothing. I've read that and I don't know anything about it. I'm just like, what? There was nothing concrete I could grab hold of and go, oh right, fuck me, yeah. Nothing. And this is what goes on all the time. This is the best we get. This is the best we get from people, apparently. Is this kind of stuff. It's just rambling. It's just a rambling. I don't know. I can remember being at university, sat in the library, and some kid talking about how nihilism doesn't exist. I won't go into everything he said, but he was like this. It was just. It was just nothing. He just went on and on and on and on saying fucking words. This is what most of these people do. Is just say words. And this is what we got. The politicians. It's fucking useless, Wise, intelligent people don't get into politics. They become capitalists, baby. And these journalists, these columnists, just spouting. And you're like, I have no idea what the fuck you're on about. What was the point? What was the point? I know what the point was. You got paid. Talking about hating capitalism. You got paid for this shit. Capitalism entitled you to write just nothing. You fucking little bitch. Anyway, that's enough cussing. Follow all this shit. Follow that shit. Click like. I'm sorry I had to drag you through this whole thing for almost 25 minutes. Just wanted to make a point really of how of how much you can say without saying much at all. What a
wonderful world.